Karoline Leavitt snaps at Kaitlan Collins in explosive CNN clash over Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we've got an explosive political showdown that you won't want to miss. Karoline Leavitt just snapped at Kaitlan Collins during a fiery CNN segment discussing Trump and Tulsi Gabbard, and the tension was palpable. What sparked this heated exchange, and how did it unfold? Stick around as we break down every jaw-dropping moment from this unforgettable political clash. In a dramatic encounter that has set social media ablaze, Karoline Leavitt, a rising star in conservative politics, faced off against CNN anchor Kaitlan Collins in a segment that quickly spiraled into chaos. The discussion, ostensibly about Donald Trump and Tulsi Gabbard, took a turn for the explosive as Leavitt unleashed her frustration over perceived media bias and the treatment of conservative voices in the political arena. The segment began with Collins introducing the topic, framing it as a discussion on the implications of Gabbard's recent criticisms of the Democratic Party and her connections to Trump. Let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard, who seems to be distancing herself from the Democratic establishment. What do you make of her recent comments? Collins asked, her tone professional yet probing. Leavitt, who has made a name for herself as a staunch advocate for conservative values, wasted no time in expressing her views. I think Tulsi is doing what many Americans wish their leaders would do, speaking the truth and standing up against the establishment, she replied confidently. However, as the conversation progressed, it became clear that Collins had other ideas about the narrative. Well, Karoline, some would argue that Gabbard's comments are just a ploy to gain favor with Trump supporters. Is she really being genuine? Collins pressed, her eyes narrowed as she sought to challenge Leavitt's perspective. This question seemed to ignite a spark in Leavitt, who felt the need to defend not only Gabbard but also the broader conservative movement. Why is there always skepticism about conservative voices? Why can't we take Gabbard at her word? You guys in the mainstream media tend to twist narratives to fit your agenda. Leavitt snapped, her voice rising slightly. The tension in the studio was palpable as Collins attempted to maintain her composure, but Leavitt was just getting started. The back and forth escalated quickly, with Collins insisting that skepticism is warranted given the political climate. Karoline, you can't ignore the fact that Gabbard has had her own controversies in the past. It's not just about media bias, it's about accountability, Collins argued, her tone firm but respectful. However, Leavitt was having none of it. Accountability, look at how Trump has been treated. You can't deny the double standards that exist. When a Republican speaks out, they're labeled as extremists, but when a Democrat does it, they're seen as heroes. Leavitt shot back, her frustration evident. The audience at home could feel the heat rising as both women stood firm in their beliefs, each unwilling to budge an inch. As the segment progressed, the discussion shifted back to Trump, prompting Collins to question Leavitt about her unwavering support for the former president. What do you say to those who believe that Trump's actions have damaged the Republican Party's reputation? Collins asked, a slight edge in her voice. Leavitt took a deep breath, her eyes narrowing. Trump did what he promised to do, he shook up the establishment. The GOP was stagnant, and he brought energy back to the party. I think people are tired of political correctness and want someone who speaks their mind, regardless of the fallout. She exclaimed, her passion for the topic shining through. Collins, determined to challenge Leavitt's perspective, pressed further. But at what cost? Can the Republican Party really recover from the controversies surrounding Trump? Isn't it time to focus on unifying the party rather than dividing it further? She queried, her eyebrows raised in a classic journalistic challenge. Leavitt, now visibly animated, replied, it's about authenticity, Kaitlan. People are drawn to leaders who are real. Trump may not be perfect, but he's relatable. He's not a career politician, and that's what makes him appealing. The fire in her voice resonated with many viewers who share her sentiments, but Collins remained steadfast in her questioning. Relatable or not, Trump's rhetoric has often crossed the line. How do you reconcile that with your support for him? Collins pressed, her tone growing more combative. With that question, Leavitt snapped. You keep bringing this up as if Trump's flaws are unique to him. Politicians across the board have made mistakes, yet you focus solely on him. Why can't we hold everyone accountable? The intensity of her voice filled the room, and viewers sensed that this was no longer just a debate, it was a clash of ideologies. At this point, the segment had transformed into a full-blown argument, with both women speaking over each other, each trying to make her point heard amidst the cacophony. I'm not saying Trump is above criticism, but the media's obsession with framing him as the villain has to stop. It's exhausting, Levit shouted, frustration etched on her face. Collins, equally determined, responded, and yet, here we are, focusing on Trump again instead of finding solutions. Maybe the party needs to move beyond him if it wants to grow. The back and forth continued, each woman digging in her heels, unwilling to concede. As the segment neared its conclusion, it became clear that neither side was willing to back down. The heated exchange highlighted the deep divides within American political discourse, showcasing how challenging it can be to engage constructively across ideological lines. In the aftermath of the segment, social media erupted with commentary. Fans of Levit praised her for standing her ground against Collins, while others supported Collins for her steadfastness in questioning Levit's views. Karoline just proved why she's a force to be reckoned with. Go, girl, one user tweeted, while another commented, Kaitlan held her own and made some valid points. This is what real journalism looks like. Political analysts weighed in, noting that this clash exemplified the larger narrative of division within American politics. Both women represented different sides of the political spectrum, and their exchange highlighted the challenges of dialogue in today's environment, one analyst remarked. As the dust settled from the explosive segment, audiences were left buzzing with opinions and insights. The clash between Karoline Levit and Kaitlan Collins had not only captivated viewers but also served as a reminder of the passionate debates that define American politics. Thanks for joining us as we dissected the explosive clash between Karoline Levit and Kaitlan Collins over Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. The tension, the arguments, and the raw emotions made for a riveting segment that will be talked about for a long time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates on the stories that matter. Who do you think won this debate? Are you Team Karoline or Team Kaitlan? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned.